Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video for you today. We have been working on this Gottlieb Jack-in-the-Box pinball machine. Really cool game. It's got all kinds of problems. So in the previous video, we kind of looked it over and we worked on the mech board down on the bottom. Really didn't get much work out of the thing. It's got an issue where it doesn't score about half of the stuff. We've got some lights that don't work in the back box. And so today we're going to work on the player unit. So let me show you what it's doing, and then we'll see if just working on the player unit fixes these issues. So let's see if I can get a credit on it. I cannot. All right, we'll have to cheat. So see the 0. So it won't credit up. So let's try just let's try just giving it some credits. So we just cheated. Let's see if it wants to start now. Now it says it has 3. Huh. Well, I guess that's one of the first things we need to work on. We were playing it in the previous video. Basically, whenever the thing starts, there's a switch that runs through this switch. So if this switch opens, it will not start. So maybe we've got a bad connection here. We haven't messed with any of this yet. We got to get the start so you can see what it's not doing. Nothing. All right, well, let's get down in the bottom of it, and maybe we've got a problem with that score unit the score motor that we worked on last time. So we talked about on the previous video how this brake was broke and we replaced it, but we didn't know for sure that it was the correct part. We thought it was, but they make different lengths and the end is different. So this is the home position of the score motor, and it kind of looks like it's not at the home position. I don't know. It's not in the. It's kind of up on the cam, so why is it not running? Let's see if we can give it a little help. Huh. So you saw that. So now the little actuator is down in the hole, but since it was up on the edge, it should have made itself run around back to the home position. So what that probably means is that we don't have that switch as clean as it should be. So as soon as this runs up off of this, out of this hole, not this one, but the one under it, it should take off on its own. See it moving? Right? So it was sitting like that, but wasn't running. So that switch isn't as clean as it should be. So let me address that a little bit, and then that should, now that we're back at the home position, we should be able to start. So it was slightly out of the home position. That switch being closed should have made it run back to the home position like it's doing when I mess with it a little bit. That brake helps it stop right at the home position, right? But if it's not at home, the problem you have is you've got another switch open or whatever. So basically they've got the thing set up so that whenever it's not in a resting state at its home position, you can't start a game because it's not in its known position that it needs to start in, right? So some switch is open since it's not at home. That is the reason that it wouldn't start. But now that we're back at home, it should start just fine. Okay, so I cleaned the switch and then I turned that to just kind of similar to how it was. I've got the power off, kind of similar to how it was. And let's see if when I turn it on, if it moves at all or if it's going to be happy there or what. Okay, so we're exactly how we were. So that's actually good. We'll see if now it won't start, then we'll know that if it stops at the wrong spot, it'll do this. That starts this time. Okay. We'll keep our eye on that. Ultra long reset sequence, probably too long. Okay, so let me show you what it's not doing. We got flipper action. This is a 4 flipper game, but hardly anything scores. Also, the ball will get stuck in that left saucer sometimes. Sometimes these light up, sometimes they don't. The drops are not really scoring. That noise you're hearing is the rubber behind the drop target. The drop targets themselves aren't scoring, but they are lighting up their light. The 5 points are 500 when lit. Makes the score motor start, but you don't get the points. So why is the score motor running? Or it was. Now that's stopped, etc. So it's got a lot of issues. Now the lights are out. Okay. It's still got a ton of issues. Why does, whenever you score 50 points or 500 points, it can't give you digitally 50 points. It has to give you 5 sets of 10 points. So when you score it, if it has to give you 10 points 5 times, it needs a relay to do that. And so the relay pulls in, the 50-point relay pulls in, it turns on the score motor, and then on the bottom cam on the score motor, there's 5 little bumps from home position to home position, like we were just looking at. And so that turns, and it, instead of having this one switch close, that relay stays on until 5 switches close. And that's what gives you your 5 10-point scores, right? So none of that's working. So some of this could be, like now it's just not doing anything. Some of this could be the score motor thing that we've been messing with. But I think a lot of it's going to be the player unit in the back box. Let's drop this in the out hole and see if it just gets stuck. No. It counted the thing down. It still says ball and play number 1. And now it's going to, nope. It's been getting stuck in this one. Oh yeah, so now we're playing on player 4, you know, so, okay, ball and play 2, maybe we're on 1, but the lights don't work. So obviously lots of issues. So let me show you the player unit. On Gottlieb's of this generation, there is this player unit in the back that basically runs everything. And this big wafer board, or whatever you want to call it here, this cam, this arm, only moves around 1 time per game. So it starts at one position, moves to the next position, moves to the next position, and it moves each time that there's a new ball in play. So player 1, ball 1 is like here or wherever, I'm just guessing. Player 2, ball 1, player 3, ball 1, player 4, ball 1, player 1, ball 2, blah, 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 and it keeps going, right? So there's a position for 20 different ball positions, and then there are several positions somewhere on here that are what it uses to reset things. So if position 21 or whatever is game over, it'll move to position, whenever you start the game, it'll move to position 22, which maybe resets the score reels, right? And then maybe position 23 resets the bonus unit, and maybe position 24, blah, blah, blah. And then it finally gets back to position 1, which is player 1, ball 1. So since the scoring runs through all of, the scoring for all of these runs through this, if this thing is dirty, it will cause you all kinds of problems. Now, check this out. Yeah, yeah, now you get the point, right? So each position that it's at, there are cams on the back that close and open all of these switches, and you see these are stacks of switches. So this player unit is as important as the score motor in the bottom that we were messing with. So if you know, we've messed with the score motor, that didn't get us where we needed to be, and now we're up to messing with the player unit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off, and if you take this screw loose, this thing, I don't know if this one's, yeah, I think it's got hinges down here. If you take this screw loose, this whole thing will tilt down where you can get to these switches on the back on the cams. All right, so we got it folded down, and you can see how there's just, I don't know, One, you can kind of tell by these long blades. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. There's about 24 switches there. And I'll show you why it's a problem. Look at that. So is electricity going to pass through that to the point that it reliably works? Probably not. So a lot of the scoring and the resetting and everything has to do with the position that these switches are in. As this thing turns, this coil pulls in and turns it, you can see that it steps through the switches, right? And so you've got like first player, second player, third player, fourth player, or whatever. And different ones do different things depending on the position that it's in. So that's what moves the scoring to here or there, or part of it at least. Your score relays also do that. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that, and then we'll look at the little Bakelite board and what's going on that as well. All right, so here is this piece. Now you can see these tracks on the panel here, the plate. That is actually like a grease that was on it from the factory. So whenever we put that super lube on it, we're basically doing a similar thing to the factory. So I'm going to clean all these rivets up just like we do all the stepper units. Put a little super lube synthetic grease on it, and then we'll step through it and see how, if it looks like it's moving nice and smooth. All right, so I have put the super lube on it. You want to get this stuff that's dielectric. We have this at our website. You can go to lionsarcade.com. There's a parts page that we have links to a bunch of stuff like that on Amazon if you're interested in it, and some other things we work on. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling in the plunger here just kind of manually. You know how whenever we started it went very quick? That's because it's violently doing this, because it's electrically doing it. So that's more like how it does it. So if you're going like this, yeah, it should step forward, right? But that's not how the game does it. It does it very violently. There's a little bit of a recoil action to it. It does it so fast. So at the beginning of the game, let's say it's right there. To reset, or let's say it's at the end. So let's say it's, maybe these are the end or whatever. So whenever you're hearing that, what it's doing is it's stepping this back to first position. It only moves in one direction. So it moves to the end of the balls, and then it, as it goes through each further stage, it's using these rivets and the switches to reset everything, right? So you just want to make sure that it's able to move around. Now at the beginning, whenever it was taking a lot of time to reset, it could have been because it was pulling in and that wasn't moving that good because the grease was dried and it was dirty and all of that, right? So we'll see. So we'll see if that fixed any of our problems. I don't know how many of our scoring issues that's going to fix. It may be actually things on the scoring relays, but we'll mess with that next after this. So let me plug it back in, and we'll just play a game again and just see if it's any different. All right, let's see if it wants to act any differently. So it reset to 4-player. All right. So the first thing that we'll notice is the lights are on for the first player. So maybe we'll just look at that while I play. Let's see if it scores. Did not score. It went down the 500 thing and did not score. Drop target scored though. Or did it? No. Drop targets are not scoring. All right, bottom 500 point setup did not work either, just like before. All right, so I'll let you watch this for a ball. We're on player 4 again. So Drop targets are not scoring. And the 5500 thing is not scoring either. All right, it moved to ball number 2 in play. So basically what we've gotten is it made the lights work on player 1. And the ball is sticking in the saucer like it was doing before. Okay, so that didn't fix much. Next up, we're going to mess with the score relays in the back box, though, and see what that does. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean the point relays. So N is the 10-point one, M is 100, L is 1,000, and I think K is 10,000, or these may not actually use a 10,000. But N is always 10, and then it goes up from there. So we're going to clean those, and then these are used to reset everything. Z1, Z2, and C3. That's the actual relay that this closes that connects to each one of the score reels. So these are switches on each score reel to reset them. But these are to actually score the points. So we're going to clean those next. Same thing. You got dirty contacts. I use a little light file to go through them to clean all of the dirt and junk off of them so they make good contact. Make sure nothing's adjusted out of place, and then we can try from there. We're actually in gameplay, so I may be able to just hit one of these and get it to score. I guess that would be a good way to test what's going on. Yeah, so. All right. So yeah, let me clean those up. All right, so I cleaned those. Let's see if this is any better. Kicked out the ball. That's good. We've got our first player lights on like we did. It says ball in play 1. Did not score. So that 5100 just doesn't work. So that's going to be a problem with that relay, probably hanging on the bottom of the playfield. And it did the same thing. We're now at player 4 again. Now, that's going to have something to do with the relay bank in the bottom of the playfield, which we've already cleaned. I can't tell if the drops are scoring, or if, like I said, it's hitting the thing behind it. So now we're back to player 1. That didn't score. It says 100 though. That didn't score. Didn't score. Didn't score. Didn't score. That scores 10. So let's see if on the 4th player. Okay, so it went to 4th player again. Okay, let's see if it's scoring on the 4th player. No, it's not. So the noise I'm hearing is it just hitting that. All right. Okay, so the problems have nothing to do with scoring relays in this instance, and they have nothing really to do with the player unit. All that cleaning the player unit got us in this instance was it lit up the first player displays that weren't lit up before. So I can probably show you on the schematics why that would be. And then we're going to look on the schematics and see why is it always playing a game where player 1's playing and player 4's playing. 2 and 3 it skips over, and then once it's done with player 4 it goes back to player 1. So you're playing a 2-player game, but it's on player 1 and on player 4. But I think I know why it's doing that. So let's look at the schematics a little bit and we should be able to figure it out. Alright, so I haven't got the schematics in yet. You can order those from the Pinball resource, pbresource.com. That's the best place to get Gottlieb schematics. But I can show you a little bit of them so you can kind of understand why they're so helpful to you. These are the schematics from a similar era Gottlieb. And here are the lights for the first player score lights. So this is the common connection. And then the way they get turned on is by either the XB relay, which I think is the game over relay. So at the end of the game, it lights up all of the score lights just for kind of like an attraction purpose whenever the game's over. And then P1F, a normally closed switch on P1F. So if This is drawn at ball 1, player 1, is how they draw all of these connections on the schematics. So at ball 1, player 1, that switch will be connected. P1F. P means the player unit, and then 1 is the first stack of switches, and then F, the first cam, and then F is the top switch, I guess, or the F switch. So you can see that the second player ones are turned on by P2F. So whenever it moves that cam on the player unit that we were just messing with, it will turn on the second player lights, and then the third player lights, and then the fourth player lights. So if those aren't lighting up, it very well could be that switch. Now, if at the end of the game they don't light up, it could be the switch on the XB relay. So the reason that we got those lights back is because we cleaned the switches on those stacks, and we just happened to clean the P1F switch. So you can go through and try to hunt the problem, but if you don't clean every switch, basically you end up with it in the condition that it's in right now, where we're running around trying to solve problems as we go. Usually I just go through and clean everything, but I figured for the video it'd be more interesting to just kind of hunt down a few problems and see if they go away whenever you clean certain things. So that is the score lights problem. Now let me show you how their replay unit, their add player unit works, the player unit in the back. This thing's really remarkable. Okay, so here's the add player unit. So our problem is it's getting to the fourth player and stopping instead of going past the fourth player back over to the first player. So you saw how it moves rotary. So it starts at the one player, and then it moves to the next position is second player, next position is third player, next position is fourth player. It's stopping there instead of moving to the next position, which is first player, ball 2, which is what we needed to do it. And it does it every time, over and over again. So if you look at what makes the player unit actually step up, it's very complex. It's this whole, look at all these switches. It's this whole area here. Oh, and all of this area up here. Okay, so here's what goes on. XB, I looked it up, it's not game over, it's last ball. Oh no, I'm sorry, XB is extra ball. So unless you have won a free ball, this switch will be closed. So power is connected. This is the power side. The neutral side is over there. Power is connected through, as long as you're not getting an extra ball, it will connect through here. And it will connect through ZB. ZB is last ball, I think. I got that right? I think ZB means last ball. So as long as it's, I better look at it. Let me look and see what ZB is. ZB is the first ball relay. So if the first ball has actually started. So the way that turns on is if you score a point. So since this is drawn at first player, first ball, the ball's actually sitting in the out lane. It hasn't scored anything yet, so this hasn't came on. So as soon as that comes on, then it's possible for the player unit to move up again. They do that so that you don't lose, it doesn't cost you a ball if you don't score any points, or it doesn't kick the ball all the way out or whatever. So as soon as you score something, that will be closed. Well, then the power comes through here. And this is the interesting part, the PB2, PB3, PB4. Power connects down through here, and as the score motor turns, which it will because the ball is landed in the out hole, once the score motor starts turning, it will connect the switch. The P relay is the add player unit relay. That pulls in as the ball kicks from the out hole to the shooting lane, right? So as it kicks across, it hits the trough switch and it pulls in the add player unit relay. Okay, so then it connects through there, and the motor's still turning, and it connects through here. 2-player reset switches, blah, 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 blah. I'm looking at a 2-player schematic. First player reset switches, or no, this is a 4-player schematic. And it connects through the Z1 relay, and then it connects through the Z2 relay, which are connected. It's very complex, isn't it, Joey?
Yep. Where's the BR relay?
And after it connects all that, it's in there somewhere. After it connects through there, it adds the player unit. One time. So my whole point is, when the motor turns, that will add one time. So what are these? These switches are connected on a 1-player game, first ball, PB2, PB3, PB4. Those are on the bank down in the bottom that we already cleaned. There's a normally closed switch on each one of those. Now, whenever you start a two-player game, what happens is this relay, the PB2 relay, falls open, player 2 relay, and it opens that switch. Well, if that switch is open, it kills this line. So on a one-player game, these three are connected because you haven't started a two-player, three-player, or a four-player. The power comes through, connects through the motor as it turns, and it adds the replay unit one time. If you were to start a two-player, okay, so then it does that. Well, at the same time that it does that, that is closed. And so as the score motor, whenever it connects to the next player, the second position, because the replay unit just did that, it will close this switch. And since you haven't started a second player game, it will go, hey, go ahead and advance one more spot and go straight through again. Right? And then you haven't started a third player game. So it'll, same thing. When it steps up to the third ball one, player 3, this switch will close and it will do the same thing. So that steps it up to the fourth position. When it gets to the fourth position, it closes that switch. But since you haven't started a fourth player game, that switch is still closed. And it adds another replay position. So then it steps it up to the next position, and there's no switch there back to player 1, ball 2, and there's no switch that closes on player 1, ball 2, and so it just drops out and stops at player 1, ball 2. So if you're having a problem with it stopping on 1 and not advancing past player 4, what's going on is this switch is closing because you're at that position, but this switch must be open. What do you think, Joe?
That's kind of what I figured was going on.
You thought that was it?
Yeah.
Okay, Joey knew. Now, when you're starting the game, something completely different happens. So when you're resetting it, here's how the reset works. I'll show you real quick. When you reset it, this comes in. This is the start relay. Power's coming through here, blah, 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 and it goes into the same setup of switches, but it's bypassing all that crap we just talked about with the 1-player, the 2-player, the 3-player, the 4-player. And the start relay is just connecting the power right to there. Now the start relay also has the motor turning, so that motor switch hits. That's why they've got that motor switch there, so that it'll work with the start relay too. And then it comes down here, and guess what? It has at the same time opened the Z1 relay and the Z2 relay. It may do them at different times, but it has opened the Z1 relay. That's part of the reset. Remember I said in the back that it uses those to reset it. So that switch is open and that switch is open. So the power can't go through there like we did a second ago. No, it has to travel through all of the score reels. So the 10s on the second player reset switches, the 10s reel has to be at the 0 position. The 100s reel has to be at the 0 position. The 1000s reel has to be at the 0 position. The 10,000s reel has to be at the 0 position. And then it goes on. The first player reset reels, the 10s has to be at the 0 position. The 100s has to be at the 0 position. The 1000s has to be at the 0 position. The 10,000s has to be at the 0 position. And once those all get back to 0, it closes that switch on the top of every relay and allows power through here so that it can go past that. Now once the game resets, these close back. These turn off, and that is just shorted there. So it doesn't matter if these aren't at 0, it will allow the player unit to move. So when the player unit gets to 1 position, if I remember correctly, it turns on the Z1 relay, and then when it gets to the next position, it turns on the Z2 relay, or it may be backwards from that. But so once all those get reset, power comes down here, and then it can't go this way because this one's open. And then it has to reset all of the third player ones and all of the fourth player ones. And when it finally gets all of those reset, wham, it moves on to the next position on the add player unit. So it's a really complex thing, but it's a brilliant thing. They did a hell of a job designing it. It's a really smart design. Now you can actually see when it resets, it sends power up here into the player unit. So when you're on position 20, it is going to turn on Z1. And then once those reels all reset that I just showed you, it will add the player unit, right? So when it adds the player unit, it moves it to position 21. Well, that will make Z1 turn off, and it makes Z2 turn on. And then it will stay there until all of those reels reset. And once those reset, it will move up another position to position 22, which may actually be position 0 or position 1, and that will turn off the Z2 relay. So once those are off, you don't have to worry about the power to add the player unit going through all of those reels. It can just go through this little shortcut and that little shortcut. It's a brilliant design. Whenever you figure out how it works, you go, what a great way to do it. So all of that to say, I think our problem with it stopping on the 4th player is that switch. White and orange where it connects to white and black. So there is PB4, the 4th player relay. We need the white and orange wire where it connects to the white and black wire. Is that here and there? And that's white and blue. It may be this one. Let me see if it said white and black or white and blue. All right, folks, we'll try it again. All right, so we have only started a 1-player game. If the 4-player was on, if that relay had fallen, this light would probably be on as well. Okay, so let's see if we got any luck. Points still aren't working right. Let's see if we go to 4th player or 1st player. Bam! That's how you do it, Joe.
Yeah, buddy.
That's how you do it, folks. So that switch was just a little, it was the one on the left. You probably saw it just a second ago. It's white with orange. The one I was looking at was orange with white. You'd think they wouldn't do that just to be nice, but nope. They do that all the time. White with orange, right next to orange with white, just to see if you're paying attention. So I hope you were paying attention. Next time we'll work through it a little bit deeper. The scoring and stuff that isn't working must be stuff on the bottom of the playfield. This is a particularly complex scoring arrangement with bonuses and stuff going on and cool drop targets. And I don't want to run through the drop targets real quick. I want to show people how to mess with that. So we'll do that next time. But I hope you enjoyed it. That's a little bit how the player unit works. And it's how the multiplayer design of the game works. And this is before they started using a coin unit. Some of the later units used a coin unit, but they don't use it on these. This is 73 or 74, I believe. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments below, and we will see you on the next one. Now, if you like these old Gottlieb games, we've done quite a few. So we'll put up a playlist here, or another older Gottlieb here that we've done in the past. Check it out. But we'll see you back here in a couple days where we'll continue through this Jack in the Box. It's starting to cooperate.